My mic was muted. Welcome to Breaking the Silence. I'm Steve Neill, and tonight is In Conversation with Me, where you get a chance to ask me questions. I can talk about things that have been bugging me, things that have been making me very happy. One of which is what's been going on with our channel. Uh, for 2 years, ever since Mary Cacciapalli came up with the concept of this channel, um, we've been trucking along, doing pretty well. Our first show was with Daphne, and she very quickly rose to about 100,000 views, which really surprised us. Wasn't quite sure why that happened the way it did. The show was good, but I didn't expect that. But you should also never have expectations. Um, and then we proceeded from there, and we did show after show, and we interviewed some amazing experiencers. People have had these experiences that are so brave to come forward and talk about it. And over 2 years, we built up way over 200 shows, and that's including the conversations and the live streams we used to do. But we did a lot of films. I call them films, where we allow, such as Debbie Cobble, which was our latest one, to tell her story. Because what happens when mainstream media ask you to tell your story is they make it your story. They edit it and cut it and manipulate it and push it and nudge it in the direction they want it to go in. And then they add skeptics and all this other stuff. We wanted to get rid of that, and we didn't want that at all on Breaking the Silence. This channel is for people who have experiences, and it's also for the public who's curious, who wants to learn more about it. And if they come in here, they're going to find out that these people are not what they thought. They're real people, just like you, and they've had very strange things happen, and mostly all through their lives. So it's it's been up and down, up and down, up and down. Subscribership's been going up slowly, and then all of a sudden, in like the last few weeks, it's exploding, and we're getting more and more subscribers and a lot more views. And I'm happy to see that most of the people coming in and joining us and being involved in this community are people who are either very curious about this and have open minds, and a lot of experiencers. Most of them want to remain anonymous. They're afraid to share this with the public. And I well understand that, because back in the 1990s, I did that very thing. I had a very good career in Hollywood as a filmmaker, as a visual effects artist. I've done a lot of stuff, movies, big movies, small movies, and everything. But when I went public, it really hurt my career. It turned my family life upside down. My late wife practically had a nervous breakdown over it. I mean, it was really bad. And so I've heard in the comments people who are not familiar with me and are not familiar with the channel. They're just drive-bys. They come in. Who is this guy? Why does he think he knows everything? And what would he know about this? Well, you need to do a little research before you say things like that, because it's very easy to go into Google, type in Steve Neill, American visual effects artist or American artist, and you will get pages and pages on my career, and also a lot of stuff about this. So I am very, very grateful. I'm very happy that the channel's been doing so well, but also at the same time, it's been doing really well. We're getting a lot more comments. And I will tell you right now that 90% of these comments are like this one. Here we go. As a person who loves documentaries, we do kind of do documentaries. I can say I have never been before engaged in any of them like I am with this one. I believe she was talking about Judy Goldschmidt. I believe it all. You had me crying, angry, and scared for what you would say next. I loved it. Well, there's somebody who gets it. But then we get other people who complain about the background music. Very few, but they seem very annoyed that we have any music in the background at all. Well, those are the films. Predominantly, those are the films, and I'm a filmmaker. I've made movies. I've made feature motion pictures, and I've been in the entertainment business for a long time. So when I make a film, I usually accompany it with some score to bring up the emotional level and make it cinematic so that it really brings you into the moment with these people who had these experiences. And I got to tell you, I've had way more people, 99% say they love the music. They love the whole cinematic feel of it. They love the recreations that I do with, you ready? CGI. And despite what some people have told me, AI never created CGI because CGI started back in the late 80s. And it's a different thing where you have to have skills to make wireframes and meshes and animate and know how to light and do everything you have to do on a stage. You have to know how to do with this software. You don't just talk to a machine and it does it for you. In fact, let me show you something. Okay. There it is. That's the rig. That's what I'm sitting at right now. I have a number of computers. There's a tower behind that drawing tablet and MIDI down below that's glowing blue. I have a lot of computers and I have a lot of software and I have a lot of computing power. And you don't need all that to do AI. You just need a tablet or a laptop, and you write in prompts and say, I want to see um, a giant octopus coming up on the shore and crawling along the beach. And it'll give you that somewhat. And it'll look just like the other guy's uh, AI of something else. It all looks the same. So I use all this equipment. I do the score on the MIDI. I use the various machines to run software simultaneously, and that's how I recreate the uh, the imagery that you see in the films. So, but that's what it takes to do that. And I've been doing this for years for Hollywood and film, television, commercials. And I used to do visual effects for the UFO files and for the old sighting show back in the 90s and a whole bunch of others. So I should look at the comments and see what's going on. Oh, wow. Geez, we have some people in here. The first comment I see is, I'd love to hear more stories of high strangeness from your past. I don't know how new you are to the channel, but the very first episode is about that. Also, I have done several of them from my experience throughout my life that are on the channel. If there's something in particular you're looking for, maybe I can help you with that. But just recently, it can either be really heavy. Uh, you wake up in the morning and you're absolutely blown away, and you feel weird, and your whole week is turned upside down. Or it can be as simple as waking up and finding a sock by your head and the other one down by your feet, and your cover's off you, and you have no recall what happened. You just feel that was more recent. Or the other one I talked about, where I have this very special solder. I'm a modeler. I like to build models. I fly radio controlled airplanes. I build them myself. I don't just buy them. I do cars, slot cars. I build plastic models of things from my own movies that I worked on and others. And so I work with a lot of materials, and I'm soldering a lighting system for a model that I was building for a friend. And I couldn't find my solder. And it's a big tube, it's like about that big, round, and you can see the solder inside the coil. I use a very special blend, and it's really good stuff. Couldn't find it. I tore the whole place apart. I looked everywhere for it. So I found my silver solder, which is not really what you want to use for electrical, but it works. And I sat down with it and I started soldering, and I went to reach over to put the soldering iron back in its holder, And sitting there right next to me was that solder, not laying down on its side because it's a tube, it's a cylinder. It was standing straight up and down. You wonder, is it a senior moment? How could I have not seen it? And this stuff happens a lot. Lately, it's been kind of quiet, and the sense of it's always there. And there's always things winking at you in the dark. And, I was in meditation because every morning during the week, we do yoga. And we always start it with a meditation, and then we end it with a meditation called Shavasana. And that's where we're laying down and we go into a deep state. And just as it was time for that session to end, I got this very clear picture of like a hibernation tank. Mary coined it that, but it looked just like that. But it was all glass. It had no structure to it. It was like perfect rectangle, clear it was bluish from the inside. I don't know if that was a fluid in it or not. And there was this woman laying in there, and she was very distinctive, and her eyes were open. I don't know if she was conscious or not, and her arms are kind of folded on her, and she was laying there very peacefully. And that's when I noticed there were a whole bunch of other ones all around her. And this thin arm, darkish gray, came in with this bony, long finger. And I mean, this finger was long, and it pointed at her. And then the bells went off to take us out of the state, and that's where it stopped. I wish I could have got more of it, but I didn't. But I saw enough of it, and I got to tell you, it was so clear. I could bring it to life. I could show it, but I wonder what else goes with it. And it didn't seem threatening or evil or anything else, anything like that. So we're in Trader Joe's. I guess that was yesterday, and this woman walks by me with red hair, and it looked like her. It looked exactly like her. And it could be just a coincidence that it was someone that looked like her, but I just found it all kind of odd. So these kind of things continually go on. Now, of course, as people have these experiences, I know all of you will agree with this and reflect on this, and that is that as a result of having these experiences, woke isn't even a good enough word for it. You are so awake. You are wokety woke diddly woke. You notice everything in the corner of your eye. If there's a little light moving, you go and you look at it. If there's something in the sky, you see it. Nothing escapes you because you're on the lookout for that high strangeness that you realize at this point in your life has been all around you all the time, but you've been too busy, too focused, and too, dare I say, brainwashed, like all of us, by our culture to not observe such things or even to give them notice. But now that's over with. You are definitely paying attention, and you're going to see more and more high strangeness all the time until you decide it's not strange anymore and it's just part of life, which is kind of at age 73 where I'm at with this stuff. So again, I'm going to go that one comment got me going on like that, huh? Hey, Susan. And Dennis. Hey, Dennis.
The gang's all there.
Yeah, you guys are all here. Okay. I'm just looking to see if there's what happened. Okay, I'm looking for questions. Okay, no, okay. Oh, thank you, Mike's. Mike. That's right, Mary. You can pop them up. We haven't done this for a long time. We stopped.
I know.
We stopped.
I'm on it.
I see. Hey, Steve. Oh, please interview Robert Hunt, who wrote the book Why Me? My Lifetime of Alien Encounters. He was on the Light Gate with Preston and Dolly. Okay. I'm not familiar with him, but I can't look. I'm going to tell you right now. I have been involved in this since I was 3 years old, looking through a crib at one of these things looking at me. One of these beings. I shouldn't call it a thing. You like being called a thing? I don't either. And then, of course, in my movie, But Something Is There, some self-promotion here. You should watch that movie. You really would. It's on the channel. and it begins with my first real physical encounter that happened in 1958 in San Francisco, and it was a doozy. I never forgot it. My memory of it never changes, and that really set things going. Uh, and all my life, I've never said why me. I I don't know. I felt part of it. I didn't feel threatened by it. I didn't feel um, a tremendous amount of fear. Um, I felt part of whatever it was that I was involved in with these beings. And I have had endless comments lately that of people that we had to remove, blocked from the channel, who put up some pretty nasty comments about how we are with demons and that kind of stuff. Mary says, "Ooh, are we going to read them?" Let's see. Well, that just we've been kind of keeping track of the bad comments that come in, and I'm trying to understand what's going on with people, but there's a lot of them here. But the good ones, if I was to save all though, there would be, there'd be 50,000 of them. Yeah, I'm not seeing one of the ones that talks about the demons, Mary, in this lineup, but they do, and they said we're being misled, and it's deception, and they talk about endlessly how um, these beings are wrong to take you against your will and violate your rights. God, it sounds like they're talking about ICE. You know, human beings do this stuff. I mean, they terrify me. What I have found with the visitors, and many other people have found with the visitors, a great percentage of them have asked them to stop, and they did. So that's not to say that maybe you're dealing with something that doesn't honor that. Maybe they really are bad guys. I'm hoping not, but I would say 75 to 80% of the people that I know, when they look back on it, and Debbie Cobble is one of them. If you haven't watched her show, Debbie Cobble, Beyond Intruders, watch it, because her take is real different than some people, like, why me? My lifetime with alien encounters, that's a fair question, but, Debbie never asked that. Debbie concluded in the end that she would never want to go back to when this happened and had it not happen, because as a result, she became a whole different person and became very aware, and became the person she is today, and she wouldn't trade that for anything. And I hear this again and again and again and again and again. I rarely hear these demons are taking me, and they're taking me against my will, and they're wrong to be doing this and all that. It seems to me, after all these years, predominantly that with the people I know and with my own experience, is that there's something going on here that has to do um, with the restoration of our sanity, which we have clearly lost. I mean, not you and me, but overall, the human race has gone completely nuts. Uh, Self destructive, violent, angry, war. I mean, just look at Washington right now. It's just so. Susie Hansen calls it an upgrade. I hope so. We need it badly. Again, Mike, thank you. Looking through here, Susan. All right, now there's another one. Susan Alloway, who's in here right now. Um, I never want to change a thing. Also, Steve, watch her show. Like Judy's, it's in depth, and she takes you through the whole experience she had, and her conclusions. Uh, yeah, the Jackrabbit case. And that's because she saw a bunch of jackrabbits block her car, 3.5, 3 foot ones that later turned out not to be jackrabbits. Uh, it's a great film about her experience. And again, she's able to tell it as it happened. I uh, did the visuals as she described, and Hollywood's not in there um, putting scary loud music and bright flashes of light, needles coming towards your eyeballs and that kind of stuff, because that's what they do. Because I'm an experiencer, and because Mary's involved in it too, when we do films about this, we do it from the perspective of someone who has the experience. And I got to tell you right now, I can't name you one person, one filmmaker in Hollywood that's doing that. Not even Spielberg. So he does a good job, but I'm nervous about whatever it is he's up to right now. Because in an interview I saw with him, he was hard on himself as a young man. He thought he was too idealistic, and that the film was kind of soft and fantasy prone, or something along that lines. He was too happy or something. I disagree. I think the film's right on the money. And we need more films like Close Encounters instead of Independence Day and all the films they've been doing lately, with the exception of Arrival. I was so pleased when I saw that film because that was a very intelligent film, and those beings were not here to harm us. And also, Spaceman. You're probably wondering, what movie is that? Adam Sandler and a giant spider. See it. I mean it. See that movie. It's not what you think, and it'll blow your mind. So, anyway, how are we doing here? 6:23, and it just all the people I love are here. No, there's a few that I don't know, but hey, Ben, no shock docs with Steve. Okay, thank you. I was going to read some of these comments, but I've decided looking at them now. Here's one of them though. This one's pretty tame. Hi, I love these stories from experiencers, but why do you have to add music with it? It doesn't add anything but fear. Please let the stories stand alone on their own. And the one I got the other day that really cracked me up was, please take the cat off the piano. That piano music is so annoying. So I suppose if you're not, if you're pleasing everybody, you're doing something wrong. So, anyone have any questions? I mean, you have me here. I'm live. I'm vulnerable. It's the end of the day, and I'm working hard all day. I've just done editing another film. Hello, I love films. I'm glad you love films, and I recognize your avatar because you've been in there a bunch. Thank you, and welcome to our channel. I really appreciate you being here. I love films too, and that's why I make them. I'm finishing one right now called The Breath in the Trees. And it's a film, and it's based on some of my experiences with a little bit of imagination added to it as well. Like The Invited, which was fictional, which is also on the channel. Like The Keep, which is also fictional on the channel. This is a movie that I make, and I do it all with CGI, and I make the score and stuff. That film will be done. It is done. We're waiting for a narrative that's being done for it. What is it like to talk to a gray? Well, it's kind of weird because they just kind of look at you, but you hear what they're thinking. The night I came into, it was 3 a.m. I got up out of bed, and I had that feeling. I knew they were in the house. I knew something had happened. I knew it was a little after 3, and I knew what they did. And but I was so dehydrated, and I got up, walked down the long hallway into the kitchen. And as I'm walking into the kitchen, the nightlight that's on in there is a soft yellow, and it was casting light on a butcher block, a very large butcher block um, that my late wife had. And those things are heavy. I mean, this thing was really heavy, and it's sitting right in front of the refrigerator door, so I can't open the refrigerator to get the cold water that's inside. And I thought to myself, why did she do that? Why did she leave it here? And then it started to move, and it moved, and its legs moved, and then all of a sudden I realized there weren't four legs, there were two, and they were tan colored. And I looked up and came face to face, and they're really tiny. When you're really in their presence, awake, not sleep or in sort of drug state, it's kind of shocking how small they are and frail. And it looked at me like some little kid, and I could. Well, I didn't hear it. I just, but I knew what it was thinking, and it said, and in that second, it suddenly blurred, motion blur, as I call it, straight through this refrigerator. And I knew where I was heading. It was heading towards the living room. So I ran around into the living room. It was very dark. It was gone. And I've been there before. I've been there under hypnosis many times with Yvonne Smith. It put me under hypnosis. And I would describe to her how I knew what they were thinking, and they knew what I was thinking. Um, it's telepathy. I don't, it's hard to describe because you're not actually hearing words, but but somehow your mind is converting it somehow into language or in your mind. It is very difficult to describe true telepathy because it just sort of happens into your head, and it just, you know what the intention is, and you know what the thought is, and you know what the image is that was sent to you. And that's the best way I could describe that. So I've never had a lot of communication with them. It's always been short bursts um, of things they felt needed to be heard. Like, we're not going to harm you. Be calm. You're not supposed to remember that right now, which really annoys Whitley. uh, but I've never sat down, like at an armchair and said, well, let's talk. It's just a night. Oh, Jim. Hey, Jim. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Jim. I'm glad you're here. And yes, Jim, who just commented. Well, am I blocking it? I probably am. Where is it? There it is. This is Jim's work. Well, I did the sculpture, and God, long time ago, huh, Jim? And I did the sculpture, and I sent it to him, and he made a mold, and he makes very fine jewelry, and very fine, really nice stuff. And he sent us a huge box of these communion heads that I sculpted in all different sizes. Ones you can put around your neck. This is a magnet one. Pins, earrings. Am I leaving something out, Mary? I can bring some. Just a whole bunch of stuff, and we haven't photographed it yet. And we're gonna put it on the website, and we're gonna offer it to anyone who wants it. And we're not going to charge a lot of money for it. We're just not. And the idea is for people to be able to have it and enjoy it. So I don't know about you guys, but I mean, Whitley and I are very close. We've been close friends for 40 years now, maybe longer. And so this face is very comforting and endearing to me. Yeah, I know. Different sizes. I know. Oh yeah. Okay. So let's see. And so I find it very comforting, just like I find the book cover very comforting. Uh, I can remember what it felt like to see it when the book first came out and how it made me feel after I read it and how it started when it started. But now, after being friends with him for years and years and years, he's my friend. And when I look at this image, it reminds me, it's like a little bit of him is with me. This is, let's see, I'm not in Zoom, so I could hold this anywhere and it doesn't disappear. So we have real green screen. Is it going to focus on that? Yes, it is. What a good little camera. Of course, it's moving in and out, so it's having a hard time with it. Come on, come on, you can do it. Stop focusing on me. Oh well, it did focus there for a minute. So anyway, that's better. It's beautiful. I love the chain that he there put on up top. Mike, thank you. Um, these are great. This one's nice and small and not really in your face. Oh, Whitley. What is he up to? Is he watching? Uh, just making sure he's not. Oh, yeah, he was commenting on a film he's seeing right now. Anyway, so that's the smaller one. Whitley has his own special sound on the phone, so I know it's him. It's just interesting that I was talking about him and he texts me. Uh, the man is very busy. He just finished a book. He's up in Washington right now. He gets around. It's amazing, and I would never ever think for a moment that he was 80 years old because I don't know what most people think of what 80 years old is like. But it's Whitley's just Whitley. He just seems not to age. He's in really good health and uh, he's amazing. I can't get this open. I'm gonna maybe do it this way. Spend a half hour of the show trying to get a bag open. Open sesame. There you go. Okay. This is the larger one, and then there's earrings too, and there's pins. And Jim, as always, you do such great work. Wow, it's in focus too. And if it will do it on the back, let's see if it will. Come on, focus. Hang on. No, I'm hoping it focuses. If I get it close enough, it'll focus on it, but it won't. Not doing it. Well, there's a credit to me on the back, and which is really sweet. So thank you, Jim, so much. These things are beautiful, and he uses a special metal. It's not silver, but this this one here is brand new. Just came here, and this one here is from God. It's about 20 years ago, and it has not been cleaned, and it always looks good like this. Always, they just never tarnish, which is really nice because if it was silver, you'd be cleaning it from time to time. So we have a lot of that. So we will get that up on the website soon. Susan says she loves it. All hand cast jewelry. It's pewter, but it's a mix, isn't it, Jim? It's a mix with something else. Well, whatever. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. This is one of the originals, and I've had this for a long time. So I've lost my train of thought. Whitley threw me off of that, and seeing Jim, because Jim and I go back a long way. I used to talk about this stuff back in the early days of the internet, and he was one of the people that would come on and be a part of it like you are now. And I kind of did it sneaky because my late wife didn't really want me having anything to do with this stuff anymore. She was, yes, Jim is in here, Benno. He is. You like it when he tells stories from when he's a kid. You talking about Whitley? Whitley's a hoot. He's kind of like uh, when I see him and I see him talking, I start laughing. I don't know why. It's just makes me crack up because it's just the jokes he tells and the way he reacts to things. But I love him dearly. So Planet of the Apes is so relevant. Well, I had a very brief experience working on the TV show. Um, I was always loved the film, and what got me a regular job so I could uh, have some income while I tried to be a filmmaker in Hollywood. I got a regular job working as a special makeup effects artist. I did prosthetics and stuff, and so I started off with uh, doing Planet of the Apes. I was fascinated with it. I wanted to know how they did that. I learned how they did it, and then I replicated it myself. And I started going to science fiction conventions, which I got to tell you were a whole different deal back in those days. They were really cool. I went to a lot of those. I even flew on a jet from San Francisco to L.A. for ApeCon. It was a science fiction convention called ApeCon, and they let me fly on the plane. I had to go into security and all that stuff, but they let me on the plane in full Planet of the Apes costume and makeup, and that was an amazing experience. But I went on to do a lot more of that, and I caught the attention of Hollywood and some of the other makeup artists, which pulled me into a somewhat steady job working on all these different movies, doing prosthetics while I plotted to be a filmmaker, because being a filmmaker back then is not like it is today. You saw my rig. I can do anything from here. I can make a full-length feature like Flow if I want to, uh, and put it out there for people to see. Uh, couldn't do that back then. I mean, you had to be able to afford to rent cameras and sound recorders and pay for the lab and AB rolls and all that stuff. It was, and I did it, but it cost me a lot of money, and I just couldn't pump out films. I did one here and one there, and then finally I wrote a screenplay that one of the studios liked so much that they let me produce the film and do visual effects for it. It was called The Daytime Ended. Look it up. So, yeah, I had a lot to do with film. What did I miss? What did I miss? Steve Neill is one of the greatest UFO artists. Oh, geez. That's going a bit far, but thank you. Um, questions? Now's the time. I know some of you wanted to hear me talk about my experiences. Many of you have seen the films that I've done. Um, when I think of them right now, they all kind of blur through my head. They're just so much. I mean, I described the one in the kitchen, and that was a fully conscious encounter. But I've had quite a few. The one in 1958 when I was a kid, that was very conscious. But I don't remember what happened after I saw the figure in the bright lights. All I remember is waking up at the foot of my dad's bed. Um, I was doing a recreation. Do I have dreams of the future? No, and that worries me. God, there's a bit of Whitley in me there. If Whitley was on, he'd say, "No, we have no future." Then you do one of those sardonic smiles. But no, no. Maybe some of the dreams that I have about being on these worlds, where the one world in particular that I call the park, where I mean I can breathe the air there. I can I'm there. It's real. It feels so real. And I think it is. Maybe that's our future. that we live in this lush green planet with this beautiful landscape of buildings that blend into nature, and everybody's happy, and there's no sign of tension or stress or fear, and there's this myriad of different beings walking all around you, humanoid types that don't all look human. And I covered some of that in the films as well that I've done here on this channel. uh, God, I hope that's our future, but I can't be sure. Oh, Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Yeah, I have, but I was describing some of it. Um, but it's been quiet. It's been really quiet, and I feel like I don't feel like they're gone. I just feel like I'm being given a vacation, maybe, because for quite a while there, uh, I remember just waking up in the morning and just feeling so like I didn't get enough sleep, like I'd been up all night, and I probably was. Um, and it made it hard for me to get to the day, but I did it anyway. I never stop. I never stop. But it was really getting hard. I mean, I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and so I feel like maybe they've just lightened up a bit. I know that something happened the other night. Mary was sensitive to it as well. I think that was the night that I woke up with the covers off of me and a sock by my head, and yeah. Well, I was talking about that. I was talking about because Mary's right over there. I woke up with the covers off. I was freezing cold. We don't sleep with the heat on. And my socks, and the first thing I know is my socks are off. I sleep with socks on. If I get up in the night, I don't want to step on spiders or, whatever. And plus, a doctor I heard the other day said it's actually good for you to sleep with your socks on. It helps you sleep. But they were off. They were clearly off, and I didn't know where they were. And I kind of rolled my head over this way, and there was one right there next to my head. I'm sorry to laugh. Unfortunately, every time I think of things like that, I see Whitley's face, and I see him starting to crack up. That's how long we've been around each other. Anyway, and then the other sock was at the foot of the bed next to my feet, off to one side. Now, I can't explain that. I really don't think I woke up in the night and said, God, my feet are hot. And I flung a sock that way and kicked all my covers off. I have a really good memory, and I would have remembered that. I remember things when I'm not supposed to remember, which sometimes annoys our visitor friends. So, um, yeah. And then I talked about the solder and things disappearing and then reappearing, and just like, let's say my phone was sitting here in front of me, in front of the keyboard. And I know that. And I start talking to you and everything. And I look down and my phone's not there. Well, where is it? I know I just saw it, didn't I? I mean, didn't I just, and I might look for it everywhere and everything. And then all of a sudden I'll be sitting here like I am now, and there's the phone. Hasn't that happened to you guys? I'm going to start asking you questions. Mike, geez, thank you. Do you think we are connected? John. Yeah, I think everything in this universe is connected. I think that we're all energy fields. We're spirit, consciousness, and it's all interconnected. This is what I believe. That doesn't mean that you have to believe that, or I think you should believe that. It's just this is what I know for myself. I can't prove it. I don't know 100,000% for sure. Geez, I'm starting to sound like somebody I don't want to sound like. No, but I'm very confident that we are. Um, can't you feel it? I feel it. I really do. And it can be hard too, because sometimes some of the things we are connected with are hard to understand. and we have to be compassionate and empathetic. Whoa, thank you. Empathetic. Yes, that's a very good word. Thank you, Lynn, so much. You've been around for a long time and a big supporter, and you're very, very loved and appreciated. Thank you. So we got Dennis talking right now. Um, this is normal. Just ignore it. Yeah. I was talking about a show I was just finishing up today. I think it was I talking about Costa. We have Costa coming up next week. Mike, geez, thank you. Uh, and I think you're going to like this conversation. He's a computer scientist. His wife is a PhD, and they both had experiences. And he's just this amazing, wonderful human being, down to earth. And James, thank you. Thank you. Um, and I think you'll really enjoy that one. That's what's coming up next week. I just finished it today, and I'm kind of backing off during the conversations, showing a lot of imagery and stuff, and just really focusing on the guest and letting them talk. And but when we have someone come in front of camera to tell their story, then I like to turn that into a film, make it cinematic, draw you into their world, their experience, and their emotions and what they felt as a result of it. And in fact, we are always looking for someone to come forward and speak on camera, not in this environment, not as an interview, not on in conversation, but in front of the camera so that we can take your experience and allow you to tell it the way it happened, and I can visualize it and make it into a film. Now, I understand that many of you uh, have reservation about doing that, and I completely understand. But if you're someone who does want to do that, please send us an email. The address is on the website or on the channel here. And Mary, Susan, geez, thank you. And Mary will contact you. And that just because let's say you're in New York and you can't come out here to our film studio so we can put our good cameras on you. If you watch Debbie Cobble's show or Judy's show and Susan Alloway's show, they came to our studio and we filmed them with our professional cameras. But with Debbie Cobble, she couldn't come out here, and we don't have the budget to fly people out. Trust me, if we did, we'd do it. But instead, she used a decent web camera and filmed herself. The other thing I do is I use StreamYard. And so you'll come on StreamYard and I'll say, go. And I never say a thing. I just record you on StreamYard and I turn it then into a cinematic edit with visualizations that accompany your description of the things you saw, the things you experienced. So if that's something, Mike, geez, if that's something, thank you, Mike.
He asked a question too.
Oh, he did? Where's the question? Is there a message they want us to know? Well, I keep getting the message, and I don't know how much. To be honest, I don't know how much of it is my wish, but it seems to be accompanied by them, and that is to evolve out of this present insanity we're in and connect with our reality, with nature, with one another, and to love each other. Stop killing each other. Stop making war. Because we do all that, we'll be able to, like in Star Trek, we'll be able to leave the planet and go out into space and come face to face with all the diversity of life in it. And I think that message has always been in my head since I've been a little kid. Huh. Boy, those VW type things, you got to watch out for it. We have one ourselves. But it's a blue bus. So, Mike, that seems to be the message. But you'll hear a lot of people say that this is a very intrusive thing. It's they have no right to do this, and they're evil, and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know what to make of that. And David Jacobs has his negative view on it. Um, a lot of them do, but overall, I don't get that. And I've been doing this a long time, not just for the last 2 years and breaking the silence, but I've been doing this for a long time. I go back to the late 80s, early 90s, when UFO Magazine was still being printed, and Don Ecker and Vicky were creating the magazine, and I met Yvonne, and I worked with Yvonne, and I went through hypnotic regression with her. Uh, the encounters that I had were prolific. They were weekly, sometimes daily or nightly, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, night off, back again, back again. It was just, um, I don't want to use a negative word about it, but it was really hard. Let's put it that way. Uh, but I'm still here. And as a result of the experience, I feel that I have become less aggressive, and I have become calmer, and I have become more aware and more connected with everything. No, I've never had a guest that referred to Mars as Arkan. Is that Arkan? I have, like many of you, had a very have an affinity with Mars. It was always been fascinating to me, the planet, as it has been to so many science fiction authors and other people and great thinkers. And uh, Mars has been very attractive, but there's something really sad about Mars. Even Whitley had that going on. He was a kid. If you read his book, The Secret School, and don't forget too, also to check out his Unknown Country, his website. It's really good, and his channel. I think the channel's by the same name. Um, Whitley's one of those people who, like me, guess what? He has these experiences, but his shows are really about interviewing people that are involved in this subject matter. And it's not hype, and it's just straight Whitley. It's very raw. But do check him out, because he's a good guy. He's got great book. He writes great books, and his channel is a good one. And you might find it really comforting to listen to him speak. So, what sounds painful? So yeah, so there's definitely something about Mars. There's also something about the constellation Orion, and when you see this new film of mine, The Breath in the Trees, you'll understand it, because it relates to a feeling I've always had when I was a kid, and a memory I always had when I was a kid, of standing on a world that's not this one, and in the sky I can see what looks like the Orion Nebula. It sort of dominates the night sky. It was beautiful, and I've been seeing it since I was a little kid. So I finally did a film about it. And with any luck, when the narration is done by a friend of mine, um, he's got a wonderful voice, that will be released. I'm going to release it in 2 versions, one with no narrative, which for people who don't have this experience will make it difficult for them to understand, kind of like 2001: A Space Odyssey. and one with narrative that gets you through it. So I'm so thick. Yes, he has lots of corgis. You still have corgis, don't you, Jim? The Queen's dog. Okay, there's a question, Mary. Did you ever get a sense that environmental awareness is why the visitors are here?
Yep.
Yes. Or is that a red herring sorts, or why does it appear so often? No, it is. The visitors that I'm dealing with, and I say that because I know everyone's not dealing with the same. A lot of them are. It predominantly seems they are. But I know there's other actors, bad actors out there. But yes, it's all been about don't war. They love shutting down our nuclear weapons to let us know they have the power to do it. You know about those stories. Um, but this planet is so precious. I mean, come on. How many planets do you think are out there like Earth? Beautiful, green, blue skies, blue oceans, forests, lush, lush animal. I mean, just the life that's on this planet is incredible. You can live your whole lifetime and never see every single creature that is here, from the stick bug to the things that are at 50,000 feet underwater in the Marianas Trench. It's amazing the diversity. There's that word, diversity of life that's here. And it's so incredible. And a lot of people who just want to make money are destroying it. They're ruining it. And it's really happening. All you have to do, if you're on the fence about this issue of man destroying the planet, is research it. Research the science. You know, it's really bad. We have to stop. It's as bad as nuclear war. In some ways, no, it's not worse. It's just as bad. So I'm surprised no one's brought up Three Eye Atlas. And I'm kind of glad that you haven't, because I've been an amateur astronomer all my life. I've had all kinds of telescopes. We still have a telescope, Mary and I, and or is that Mary and me? It's Mary and I.
I put it up there.
Oh, that big rock. Yeah. Well, it is. And okay, so it's doing 130,000 miles an hour. Well, that's unusual, but it's only unusual because we've never seen uh, asteroid, a comet come through here that quickly before. Well, quite that speed, but that's not to say that doesn't happen. I mean, who knows what the result of that speed is? Could have been a star millions of years ago going nova and blowing apart a planet, and off came a chunk of it, and it tumbled that speed, and it's been moving at that speed ever since till it came through our solar system, and it's coming through it and going right on out again. I never thought it was an alien spaceship. I never thought there was anything behind it, anything more than the fact that it was an amazing um, interstellar object. And, yeah, NASA's pictures were terrible. But when you consider the fact that NASA has been practically defunded down to, as many people working for it as maybe a McDonald's restaurant, and who knows what their qualifications are, because the high price people are long gone. It didn't surprise me that the photographs that they had were uh, not that great. And an amateur astronomer, the funny thing about amateur astronomers, the public hears amateur astronomer and they think about some kid in his backyard with a refractor telescope and an iPhone, and it's not like that. Amateur astronomers are very good astronomers. Amateurs, yes, because they're not being paid to do it. Other than that, they're scientists, they're astronomers, and they've got equipment and cameras and technology today. I have it myself. That can see things we could never see 10, 20 years ago on a home-based telescope. So we should be very thankful. We should be very thankful to them, because if there is a piece of junk coming our way that could devastate this world, they're going to see it first. not NASA. They will have time to push it out of the way if they decide to spend money to build a spacecraft to go out there and do that, because that's all they have to do. Otherwise, we have the don't look up situation. So, what was the O, Mary?
The question that you didn't want to talk about tonight.
What was that?
Can you
Oh, uh,
address it?
you know, I just got a comment on my cell phone about that from someone I know, and they said that it was made for people who are not involved, that aren't involved in the research or as experiencers uh, of this phenomenon. It's basically made for people who aren't, to bring them up to speed. So I know a lot of people uh, in the last few hours have been disappointed. They spent money to watch it. I think 1995 or something like that to pay for, and they basically said it's the same old thing. It wasn't anything new, and didn't. They were very excited. And they felt let down. But you got to remember, these are people like myself who are very involved in this. Like I said earlier, you notice everything after you have these experiences, and you're up on everything as much as you can. And so when you see a show like this, it's like, well, I knew that. That's nothing new. Well, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, that's what happens. So you get disappointed. But if somebody who is on the fence about this and thinks it's all a bunch of hooey, tells you, hey, I saw this documentary the other night. It's pretty good. I never took this stuff seriously, but the stuff they showed me that you already knew about, he didn't or she didn't. And they say, you know, I'm going to look into this more. And as James Loft said, it gets the ball moving. It moves the ball. So um, that's not to say it's a bad film or a good film. It's just it is a film that helps move the ball. Thank you, James. That's a good way to put it. I haven't seen it. I've seen so many documentaries like that, and generally I don't watch them. I did watch some of the ones on Netflix, especially the one about the Pascagoula case, because I'm very involved with that, knowing the people like Philip Mantle and Dr. Irena Scott, who did so much hard work on that case. And I think Netflix did a fine job with that subject matter. They don't always. A good example where they didn't do a fine job was the Manhattan abduction case. That was a terrible movie that should have never been made, and it did a lot of disservice to the memory of Bud Hopkins. He was a very nice man, and I know a lot of people will back me up on that. But they're in business to make money, so they're going to take stuff and present it if it's going to make them a buck, and they don't care who it hurts, because that's the media. I know it well. So no, I haven't seen the film, but I have heard that people are disappointed. But then again, I think about the people who will watch that because it was presented in the way it was. It might get people who are skeptical to watch it. I don't know. So, not unless anybody has anything
There's
more
another one.
to
Well, let's
ask.
stay longer. Here's another one.
Yeah. Okay.
This is interesting.
At the speed it's traveling right now, and it's going to be leaving our solar system. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's a threat at all. Eventually, something will hit this Earth, and it can be avoided, especially today. There's no excuse for us to keep investing all this money in warfare and weapons and weaponizing everything, even telepathy. They'll weaponize everything, but they won't build a large spacecraft in orbit that can be crewed up internationally and used to protect us and used for exploration. I don't know if these people ever saw Star Trek, but it's a good role model. We need to build a big spacecraft. Yeah, we don't have warp engines, but we can build something that stays in space that's not an orbiting tin can called a space station. It can have engines on it. It can be used to go out and influence an object moving towards us, like the one that's going to be here in 2029, and move it off course gravitationally by 500, 600 feet, which is all it would take to get it to miss, instead of having hit the Earth. And all the idiots in Washington and the elite and the super wealthy going underground to their holes they built. That's not life. I'd rather be dead than go into one of those underground places they're building. I'll just sit up on top, watch the show. Because you know what? We don't die. We go on and on. Warned off the moon. I have no information on being warned off the moon. I've heard things about the dark side. They were not welcome on the dark side. I've heard all. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know, because I was shown once photographs privately that NASA covered up of structures on the moon, but they're very old, and they're dilapidated. They're like ancient. I didn't see anything new. Well, maybe. It didn't work out too well in Don't Look Up. I guess, sure. I mean, that's if we're going to make technology and make things out of those resources that continue to kill the planet, it's kind of not a good thing. But China is up there mining it. Well, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. I mean, I I stay pretty connected to science news and what's going on. I haven't heard that one. That you heard about that, Mary?
Yeah, I heard that they're up there. I don't know what they're doing.
They're mining the moon. They're on the moon.
Yeah.
People are on the moon.
Yeah, China.
They put boots on the moon. Next, they'll be throwing rocks at us like from a highway overpass. Somebody here name the movie that I just said that from. Okay.
Asking what a Huberman sphere is.
Well, I know it's not a Dyson sphere. A Huberman sphere is a new one on me. Oh yes, I see someone complaining and saying that we could be on Mars already. Well, we had a mission planned in the 80s. It may or may not have been successful with that technology at the time, but heck, we got to the moon with some pretty, you know, as Spock would say, stone knives and bearskins.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I have heard that. I have heard about that. And in fact, if you see the press conferences after Apollo 11 and some of the others, they're kind of disturbing because there's something going on there. You know, I don't want to feed conspiracy theories, because if you don't have the facts, then that's all you're doing. Have I heard it? Yes. Have I watched the press conferences? Yes. And you still don't know what's going on, but you sense something. Uh, and what about George Adamski? Okay, well, you're going to find this kind of surprising. Um, I read about Adamski in high school. I used to go to the library and I used to read books, UFO books that are available at the time. They didn't have them at our school. So I'd go there and read them. And because I've been seeing UFOs right and left when I was a kid, and I didn't think much of it. And I thought everybody saw them, and I didn't realize why I was seeing them at the time. When I read his book and he described being inside the big mothership that was cigar shaped, and the way he described it, uh, I felt a sense of familiarity and comfort I could not explain to myself. Now, I know it's been said that he faked things and that the spacecraft was a chicken incubator. I tried to find that incubator. I looked all through Google, going back years and years, and I never saw one that looked like that. Never did. So I don't know, but I get the feeling, as with Billy Meyer, that these guys actually were having some kind of experience, and that we need to go back and relook at them, uh, because people went out of the way to discredit him and Billy, and if they were really not on the level, why would they bother? They did that to Whitley too. The New York Times said he had a temporal lobe problem. They said other ones said he was schizophrenic because they didn't have any information on that. Whitley presented all the information from all the medical tests that he went through to prove that he was of sound mind. He didn't have a tumor and he didn't have temporal lobe disorder and all that. And they just turn around and do what they're doing right now. The media is just telling you nothing but lies and propaganda. I can't even listen to the news because there's nothing truthful anymore that I can trust except my own senses. Um, I'm seeing what that Hoberman spear is. Wow. Huh. Yes, it is. Well, because they think they don't they don't take us seriously. MUFON didn't for the longest time. Now MUFON has really changed their tune, and part of that's because of Earl Grey Anderson. He had been big influence on them. Unfortunately, he passed away a few months ago. Um, uh, we got Dustin Eccleston. We got CJ Arabia, and a lot of the people involved in MUFON who either have experiences or surround themselves by people who do, so they get a sense of what it's like. They're taking it seriously. They've created the ERT, which is the Experiencer Research Team. They are now helping people have nowhere else to go. They say, look, this stuff really happened. We met a new guy the other night. We have private Zooms with experiencers. Like it's a support group where they can come and talk. They're not recorded, and they're allowed to talk about their experiences and safety. And this guy, he needed to know where to be because he was really worried about his sanity because the stuff that happened to him was so striking. And he's a young man, and he's got kids and a family, and he was really shook. You could tell. And the local MUFON group that he went to is a rogue group. That's what I call a group that's not really sticking to the principles of MUFON as they are today. And they said, well, we'll refer you to a few psychologists that might help you. Big mistake. Big mistake. Do not do that because they're materialists. And as far as they're concerned, anyone like myself, uh, Whitley, anybody else, they're just all nutcases, and you've just been deceived, and you've been traumatized as a child, maybe raped by someone in your family, and you've made up all this screen memory stuff to comfort yourself. That just so happens to coincide with other people going back 100 years that you never even knew. But anyway, it's just a bad thing. So now you can go to MUFON. They will refer you to the ERT. They will connect you with people like Yvonne Smith, who I've been working with since the very early 90s. And she's a certified hypnotherapist. And if you work with her and she's got you under hypnosis and she's taking you back to a place where you remember something happened, she will never say this to you. Do you see aliens in the room? Because a lot of hypnotherapists I have found have done that, and that's wrong. You do not lead the person. You take them back to the time, you take them back to this place where they were, and you ask them what's going on, and that's all you ask them. If they volunteer to you that they've seen something, then you say, can you describe it? And if they describe it as being tall and humanoid with light colored hair, that's what they're telling you. And if they say it's got black eyes and a big head and it's very small, they look like children, then that's what they're telling you. But you don't ask them if that's what they're seeing, because that's called leading. And of course, the public's perspective on hypnotherapists with regards to the subject matter is based on hearing that. They'll hear it from skeptical sources. Oh, those hypnotherapists, all they do is lead people into thinking they're abducted by aliens. And that's not true. So they will send you to someone like Yvonne Smith, a real pro, a real professional who will do things by the book. And they won't send you to some psychologist who's going to tell you you're crazy and take these pills. So I'm really glad for that. Okay. Susan, you got a lot of bunny rabbits there. I wish I lived where she lives. I love Bodega Bay. I really do. Just don't watch the movie The Birds before you go there. I have never seen UFO. I've been fascinated since the mid '60s. Read everything I could, and I was in 67. Now there is so much of it's an agenda. Yeah, I think the agenda is mixed. I think let's face it. If we had the capability, and there are people who say we do, but I'm very skeptical about that. Healthy skepticism. But if we had the ability to go to their star systems, I don't think we'd make our presence known if there was intelligent life there, and it's certainly if it wasn't as developed as we were, if they weren't spacefaring themselves. But we would observe and study. If we felt they were in trouble and they may be on a course of self-annihilation, because if we survive to do that, that means we survive that period, and we could help them get through that period so that they do go on to evolve into something that's called a successful civilization. Um, we'd be doing that. At least I hope so. And I think there's a lot of people coming here for that reason. And then there may be people that are just coming here because it's a fascinating place to come to. And I mean, again, I don't think the universe has zillions and zillions of Earth-type planets in it. So I think that they're a little bit more like little rare gems, and they certainly would be of interest. And the universe is so old that any intelligent civilization that has gone through a technological era, survived destruction, and reached great technological heights would be able to go from star to star. Just because we can't do it doesn't mean they can't. Just because people think, why would they come here to see us? Why wouldn't they? We'd go there to see them. So, but the funny thing about it is, if you're studying science and the latest breakthroughs, especially with quantum physics, then technically speaking, it's possible for us to travel through space without any spacecraft at all and go to other places, because we're connected with all those other consciousness and all those other particles in an instant. The things that allow our visitor friends to pass through solid objects, we should be able to do ourselves. I think we can. We've just lost our way. We don't remember, or something happened, because we should be able to do those things. I know that sounds crazy, but then again, we've been told things are solid. They're not. And when you start looking at things at the atomic level and the subatomic level, you'll see that. So, unfathomable agendas. Yeah, all I can reflect on, Jim, is what I've experienced. And after all these years, the most they've ever done to harm me was poke me with a needle or something, and I bled a bit, or I had a mark on my body. But, you know, whenever I go to my doctor to have medical tests done, and they're always pushing things up the you know what, and and poking me with needles and stuff, and it's all for my own good. I'm still alive right now because of anal probes, human beings, human being anal probes. It's called a colonoscopy. You're gonna love it if you're past 40 something. Um, Actually, it's not that bad. How long have you been getting needles, vaccinations, blood being drawn? Yearly, I get it done so they can check my blood out and come back like they did a few weeks ago and said, "You're fine. Whatever you do, keep it up." Um, I had some real nasty probing done so they could look inside my bladder, and they found cancer in stage 1 2 years ago, and they I gave them permission to take me, put me on a table, make me unconscious, remove the cancer, and wake me up again, and put me back in my bed and said, "You're going to be fine. Just come back and see us every so many months, and to make sure it's not coming back." So, I kind of liken a lot of what people describe about these medical procedures and things with the visitors as being that kind of thing. There's been many people who've claimed they've been healed by them. A lot. So we have absolutely no reason to trust this. Well, no, but we all have the capability to connect with something when it walks into the room and know if it's something we should trust or not trust. I mean, I know that with people, I mean, all through my life, someone can come into a room and I immediately feel their presence, especially if their intentions are not good. I get this sense, and every time I've gone against it, I've been burned. Every time I thought, "Oh, I don't have any abilities. I don't know that this person is really a bad person. I'm going to give this person a fair chance. I'll even hire him to work in my film studio." And the next thing I know, after a month, the guy's backstabbing me, going behind my back to the people I'm working for, and trying to destroy me. And I knew day one when I met this, I'm thinking of one person in particular, although it's happened several times to me. When I know in particular, I remember getting an argument with my late wife that I had a bad feeling about this person. We need to not be involved. You don't know that, and we need the money, because it was for a job. It was someone I was working for, and they turned out to be, uh, well, it's funny how people call who say we have no reason to trust the visitors, they're demons and that kind of stuff. These people I'm talking about, these are human beings, and they're the closest thing to a demon I've ever experienced, and damn near destroyed my life. So when I get a gut feeling that something, um, I should not pursue something, I don't do it. If directions tell me I should go right, and I get this bad feeling, if I go right, I know the person told me to, don't
Okay.
do it, I go left, and I find my way there. It was a mistake. So we do have a way to trust, but I'm only can say that from my own experience personally, because you don't have my experience, and that's how it goes. So, well, I don't know who you've been talking to, because if you're talking to people like David Jacobs and some other people I can name, and some of the people who claim to have these experiences, this is what I hear over and over again. But in my experience, and I've been doing this a long time, like I said, 75, 80% of the people are not saying that. There's a smaller percentage who are in a deep state of fear over something they don't understand. I'm not saying I understand it fully, but if their intentions were to harm me, I'm 73 now. I'd be dead. They would have taken me up there and served me up like a Christmas roast, and that never happened. So, and I've lived a good life, long life. I've lived a healthy life. I don't know if they've been healing me or not. They tell me they have been. Um, I've had a good career. It's still going on. I have no complaints other than when you get to be your 70s, it's not like your 60s. It's like, oh, I turned 70. Oh boy, what's this? Aches and pains and this and that. But every day I give thanks. I'm
Okay.
so grateful to be here with you talking about this. So
Um, I'm a couple steps away from putting someone out of their
I've
home.
never been ripped out of my bedroom at night. Uh, I've been taken. I went when I was a kid. I went out of curiosity. I was fascinated. I was timid. I was afraid, of course, but this was something amazing. And I went, and it's amazing the things that happened to me. And they weren't evil and they weren't bad. And if they hadn't happened to me, I don't know who I'd be today. I might be dead or stuck in some boring job, miserable, and an alcoholic. Who knows? But I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I do owe this to my experience with the visitors. On that note, I will take any remaining questions you might have. Um, really think about this subject. I really think about this. I've been taken against my will stuff because no one is better at doing that than your own people. They love to grab you, take you away, and throw you behind bars for reading a book they didn't approve of, or for saying you were woke, or saying that you think the environment should be saved. Don't cut down these trees. I mean, come on. The worst terrorists on this planet are human beings with bad intentions. We have no reason to trust them. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight. And I really want to thank you all for your support, all the wonderful things you had to say, all the monetary support you gave tonight. It's very much appreciated. Um, Mary and I spend what, Mary? At least 85% of our time working on this channel uh, and having an honest channel about this subject matter where people can come and be safe. And so your support is greatly appreciated. We never asked for it, but we sure get it. And we love you a whole bunch. And we'll see you next time.